Join me as I interview former WWE and WCW wrestler Bill DeMott. He is well known for his role as Hugh Morris in WCW and his performances under his real name with the WWE. He was simply employed as a jobber to the WCW stars, but in late 2000 and early 2001, as the promotion was fading, he had championship success and won the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship twice. Mr. DeMott has since left the ring and become a trainer for the organization's Tough Enough program, where he gained notoriety for managing trainees in a harsh and continuous manner. Help me welcome the athletic yet inspiring Bill DeMott to Autism Rocks and Rolls. Mr. DeMott, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, buddy. How you doing? Thanks for that intro, man. Good to see you.
Not a problem, my friend. So my first question to you is, what does running a nonprofit organization supporting your daughter, who unfortunately passed away, mean to you?
Well, thank you for speaking of her. I'm always appreciative when people bring up Keri Ann. Keri Ann was my middle daughter. In 2015, she was taken by a repeat drunk driver, a DUI offender. So she was tragically taken on her way home. Um, And so we started a nonprofit because no one knows my daughter better than my wife, myself, and her brother and sister. So we started a nonprofit, and it'll be 10 years in October since Keri was taken, and we've been working nationwide. It's the foundation has branched out from just a little mom and pop kind of nonprofit. And for people who don't know, and I know you know this, becoming a 501(c)(3) nonprofit is not an easy task. So, and you know from the great foundation that you guys are running, it's a lot of work. So what happened is I stopped working and took over the foundation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so at almost 10 years, we have a victim services program where we work with families that have been affected by drunk, impaired, distract driving. And I think I've spoken. I think the number's up to about 250,000 plus students to date. So we're blessed, and it's always interesting that you take something tragic and turn it into something powerful. So that's what keeps me going.
Let's talk about that actually, because I know you do offer victim services. What resources do you offer to your clients?
So when we get a lot of calls actually from around the country that people have been affected and they learn about the foundation, the biggest thing we do is become an ear, a support system, because as much as people would like to think there's a lot of organizations out there that help victims, it's really different in every state and it's run differently. And so what we do is we provide not only assistance and support with the tragedy, we stay with them through the court process. We help them manage anything that comes along with this, with the loss of a loved one, and we make sure that they're not left alone to figure this journey out by themselves. So we don't just work with a family and as soon as the court um the judicial process ends, we walk away. They become part of the foundation, and that's really who Keri was and is. And so we just continue to build. I always say we're building that army, but we just make sure that no one's loved one becomes a statistic.
Right, I hear you there, and I can testify to that too because we do the same. And I think it's because at the end of the day, when we're so lost, we forget there's other people who's been through what we've been through. I'm on
Yes.
the spectrum, and I know someone else who is on the autism spectrum has been through exclusion, or someone who lost their daughter to drunk driving like you. I don't know
Yeah.
anyone personally like that, but I bet someone in Washington has experienced what you went through.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately you're right. And you guys do such a great job, brother. You guys are inspiring. And when we met and talked for the first time and I had the opportunity to meet your mom and speak to, like, you're taking a challenge that you're faced with in some people's eyes, but you're turning around and opening up a whole new world for people that are on that spectrum or do, are facing those challenges of exclusion and things like that. So I think it takes a special kind of person to take something that's affected them and then open their arms and heart and eyes to others and help them walk through it. So I'm blessed to know you, and we get to talk like this because you guys are doing amazing work, and I think that's the point at the end of the day. And I say this as a 60-year-old man to a young man. We all have these challenges, and we face things, and sometimes you said it perfect. Sometimes we forget that other people are going through what we go through, but we're there to lend a hand, lend an ear, lend a shoulder, and to support those people. So really, at the end of the day, man, we're blessed.
Well, let's talk about your nonprofit a little more. Do you want to tell me what the Keri Ann DeMott Foundation has coming up? Because I looked on your website, you may have a 5K and 10K run, from what I understand.
Yes, we're actually, thank you, brother. We're actually headed to I'm leaving for New Jersey tomorrow. We now have chapters of the Keri Ann DeMott Foundation in Alabama and a chapter in New Jersey. So New Jersey, every year we have a big event. It's called Day in the Park on September 13th. And so we turned it into an annual softball game with the local police department, the Paramus Police Department. I was born and raised in Paramus, New Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy at heart. So the opportunity to get to go home, and there's hundreds of people who come out to this event. It's free food. There's some fun. There's some information. There's some community. We play this great softball game for a championship belt that the police department has yet to win. But we get to share the mission and the message with the community, and that's the most important part, because then we get to introduce ourselves in the school systems and work with more law enforcement. So we're not an event-based foundation, but we have three big events a year. So we have the Day in the Park coming up this week. In November, like you mentioned, we have the 510K held at the University of Central Florida, which is amazing. And then every year we have our annual dinner gala, and this will be our 10th year. So we're calling it the gala, and it's really been an incredible journey to think that for 10 years, and we say, and you and I believe have talked about this, as long as we reach one person a day with our mission and message, then man, we're doing great work.
I agree with that, my friend. That's when you know you're making a difference.
Yes, sir.
And I think you have to have that goal with your nonprofit, because we're not in it for the money. Let's be honest.
We don't. It really is what it is. It's a nonprofit, and so I want to. So everybody on our board and everybody who works with our foundation is 100% volunteer. That includes my family. That includes me leaving a 32, 33-year career and making sure that this foundation is doing what it set out to do. So it's not about a paycheck. It's not about getting notoriety. It's about doing those things and somebody remembering something we said or did and then passing that on. And just like you guys, we're changing lives and we're saving lives, and there's got to be a positive outcome. Otherwise, you and I would both be sitting in corners just feeling sorry for ourselves.
I agree with that, my friend. But speaking of WWE, one of the accomplishments I know was the WCW United States Championship. How did you
Yes.
feel when you learned you were going to be a United States champion for WCW?
Well, back then we had all the biggest stars in wrestling there. We had Hogan and Savage and all these great people, and Sting and Luger and Goldberg and Ric Flair, and I mean the list goes on and on. So at the time when I found out that I was going to have an opportunity to wrestle for this championship, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Come to find out, not only did I win it, I won it twice, and that meant a lot to me. I know people, though, it's sports entertainment and it's wrestling and it's just, that fake word gets thrown around, but we do that 300 plus days a year back then. And that's our life. And to have acknowledgement in the sport of professional wrestling that hey, for this moment, you're the guy, was just incredible. And at 60 years old, it's one of my favorite memories.
Right. And actually, this has led me to a question I've always wanted to ask wrestlers. So what I've noticed is reporters have always asked, is wrestling fake? And
Right.
sometimes that makes a wrestler mad.
Yeah, yeah.
And it makes them mad. I'm just wondering, and I mean this in the most politest terms,
Yes, sir.
why is that the case? I'm just
Well,
curious.
because not a lot of people can connect with getting hit constantly, repeatedly in the face or kicked and doing all the things we do. And I'll say it like this. This is controlled chaos. Professional wrestling, and even at this day of sports entertainment, it's controlled chaos. We do our very best to make sure that everybody gets out healthy and safe, because don't forget, we have to do this again in the next town. But, and I'll say this, if it's fake, how did WWE just sell for $9.2 billion? If wrestling is fake, why is ESPN now paying billions of dollars for this to be on their channel? So we're an advanced form of physicality, and we have the best stunt men and women ever created. And it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. If you want to get in this business and be good at it, it's a lifestyle. So I don't know. I don't like the word fake, because that means we're not doing anything. And I have a broken neck, 4 knee surgeries, all my toes, my jaw, my eye socket, yada yada, as like other people. So I don't think anything fake hurts. So I'm going to go with that.
And it's always made me mad too, because I think it's an insult
Yeah.
to the person, to what they're doing for a living. How would you feel if someone said, "Oh, you're not working hard"? That's what you're practically saying to a professional wrestler.
Right. And you almost want to ask the person who says it's fake, well, did you pay fake money to come and watch it? No, they're paying outlandish amounts of money to come and watch this entertaining, you know, stunt show. This Circus Soleil. Is Circus Soleil fake? Is the UFC fake? Is American Gladiators fake? No. Is professional football fake? No. So you're not paying fake money. So you're not coming to see a fake product.
Yeah, it's not. Maybe they're paying with Monopoly money. Who knows
Yeah,
at this
there you
point?
go. Yeah, if they're playing with, there you go. If they're playing with that money, then yes, it's fake.
I do want to talk to you more about your daughter. So,
Yes.
how do you honor Keri Ann with the exception of the foundation? Do you celebrate her birthday still? Do
So
you honor her on her birthday? Do you
yes,
have a
sir.
Keri Ann day? What do you do?
Yeah, so what we do, and again, thank you. These are awesome questions, brother. So we talked earlier about the events we have. Well, we hold the 5K because Keri Ann was a track star in high school. So she was a runner. So we maintain her running legacy. Her birthday is in January 9th. So we hold the dinner every year in January. Um, and then for me and my family, we're always driving to the highway where her memorial marker is. And every night I get to say goodnight to her before I go to bed. And I let her know how proud we are of what she's accomplishing. And I thank her every day for allowing me to be the voice to her mission and message, because everything we do is what Keri would have done. I'm not a very, I don't want to say it the wrong way, I'm not a very sociable person. I don't like to be in front of people. I don't like to, and it's funny as a professional wrestler, right? Because we spend our whole lives in front of thousands of people every night. But I go out every day, and every day I get to introduce her to a bunch of new students or work with law enforcement. I'm honoring my daughter, and that's what makes everything so special to me.
Nah, man, I get too. I will speak in front of people, but if I had a choice, I'd rather be speaking to people with my headphones on. So I
Heck yeah,
totally
yes,
understand
sir.
you. And I've always find that ironic too. I like professional wrestling, but let's just get rid of the people in the crowd.
I learned really quick how to look above their heads, so I didn't have to see all those people staring at me.
There you go. Maybe I need to do that too.
That's it. There's the trick.
There is something you say on your nonprofit, and I want to know what it means to you. No more empty seats.
So we coined the phrase, and hopefully, flat big news on this. Hopefully, we own that phrase, so it'll be trademarked, and that should all be done very soon. We started the No More Empty Seats was there's a there's a there's a seat empty in the classroom. There's a seat empty at church. And most importantly, when something happens because someone was taken due to drunk, impaired, distracted driving, there's now an empty seat at the dinner table. So we want no more empty seats. We want to put an end to this epidemic that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So when we come out and you see everything we have and we branded everything, no more empty seats, and our hashtag is everywhere we go and people say it, it's a remembrance. Hey, wow, Coach Bill talked about that at the presentation. And I don't want an empty seat because of something I did. And it's really all about decisions. It's the decisions we make and how they affect other people. And if we can realize that my decisions would cause someone not to be in their chair at the dinner table, then that really makes me think twice about what I've done or what I'm about to do.
Right. I can see where that's coming from. You
Thank
did
you.
also work with Hulk Hogan, and from what I heard, there's a story where you got his blessing. You want to tell me about that story?
Hulk just passed away last month. And always depending on who you talk to or what you do as far as the internet and news sites and all these things. Hulk was great to me from the minute go. As a matter of fact, when I got my job in the United States for WCW coming out of Japan, I met with Hulk Hogan and he shook my hand, and to me that was gold. And so Hulk was always very good to me professionally and personally, always looked out for me, always gave me advice, and always made sure I was kind of in the right place at the right time. So it's a dream, right? If you're a fan of the industry and all of a sudden you're standing next to Hulk Hogan talking business, and then you get to have a beer with him at the end of the night. That's kind of like I'm an Elvis fan. That'd be like if Elvis came up to me, shook my hand, and said, "Hey, have a seat and let's talk." You know what I mean? Find the person that you idolize and they become your friend and they befriend you. That's what it's like for me with Hulk Hogan. It was amazing.
I feel the same way if it was Johnny Cash.
Oh, brother, I'm with. Oh, Chris Christopherson became a very good friend of mine later in life.
What do you
And
know?
so, and he shares the Johnny Cash. He used to share Johnny Cash stories with me all the time.
That's pretty cool, my friend. That's really cool. So on your video with your nonprofit, you're trying to create Keri's Law. You want to tell me about that?
So we as a 501c3, we cannot be lobbyists for lawmakers and things like that. So we came up with Keri's Law and we presented it to some of the representatives and senators here in Florida, and it simply asks for accountability. Because if you look at any law as it deals with DUI, it's different in every state. Not only every state, it's different in every county in that state. So ultimately, we want to put an end to this epidemic. People felt the same way about cigarettes for years and years and years, and then finally said, okay, this is what we got to do. Well, Keri's Law for us means there's no more excuses. You'll see on the background, there's no legal limit. Drunk driving's drunk driving. There shouldn't be uh, a second chance for repeat offenders and all these things, because if you look at every drunk driving or impaired driving case, half of them are caused by people who have done this before, got a slap on the wrist, and we're allowed to do it again. So Keri's Law is just another way for us to honor my daughter and to honor those that have been affected. And we're just going to keep working with legislator and things like legislation nationwide, by the way, to make sure that we make a change for the better, because we have an epidemic. It's an epidemic, brother, and it's one that we can control. So as much as as much as people want to fight the fentanyl epidemic and fight all these epidemics that we have to address that drunk, impaired, and distracted driving. is an epidemic we can control.
I agree with that, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
How far is that going, if you don't mind me asking? Is there any states that maybe don't have it, but either consider it in the future or acknowledge it?
There's always talk of legislature. And as you know, as you guys deal with um your subject matter, it's always whatever in the news is the hottest topic. So if it's guns, then guns take precedent. If it's fentanyl, then fentanyl takes precedent. But I will say this, here in Florida, Trenton's law just got passed and takes uh, effect October 1st, and that doubles the penalties and prison time for repeat offenders. So while there's little movement, it's still good forward moving process. So we're just going to keep fighting the good fight. And as you know, as a nonprofit, sometimes you gotta bite your tongue sometimes and just say okay and figure out a different way to go about it. So that's what we keep doing, and we keep fighting the good fight.
Right. I agree with you there. Now, you were a coach on Tough Enough, and
Yes, sir.
according to a lot of people, you were harsh and contentious, as they said.
Oh
Was there
yeah.
any times you thought you were maybe too harsh or you crossed the line?
Well, I think so. The differential here is Tough Enough is a TV show. So when the red light is on and the show's edited, you're only going to get the very best parts. So we at the Tough Enoughs, we spend about 3 to 4 months with the kids, and in that 3 to 4 months, they edit down to 30 minutes a week of what they will show. So just like anything else, you need a good guy and a bad guy, and someone who has a big heart and someone has no heart, and the girl who gets upset and the guy who misses his mom, and all these, and it's storyline driven. The thing with being a coach is it's okay to be friendly, but you're not there to be their friends. And Tough Enough, the name Tough Enough, is to find out, can you make it? Not become my friend, let's go to dinner every night. No, all great people. All the ones that have stuck through it are very successful at what they do. And as a coach, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, Olympic soccer, Olympic this, and the coach is always the guy who gets blamed for the unrest, the uneasiness, and all those things. I know my role as a Tough Enough trainer. I did it better than anyone else. And unfortunately, with that success comes some backlash.
Right. I actually had my previous guest, Mohammed Hassan or Mark Capone, and for the
Oh,
listeners,
great
see,
guy.
great guy, yeah, but he had backlash with his character.
Yes. And so here was a guy who did the job he was asked, and he did it very well. And he paid the price. How much success did he have? He had to be taken out of the whole business because they couldn't do anything else with him because they kind of put him in that one box of character. But here was a great guy paying his dues, great athlete, good-looking kid, smart kid. I'm happy to hear that he's doing well after that. But going through it, it's a lot of mental, it's a lot of a chess game, and you have to figure out what works best. So he's the perfect example of a guy who did his job, did it great, and then got labeled as a certain thing. Yeah.
I'm glad he has success because he really does deserve it.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. And I think he's teaching now, right? Is that right? Or is he a
Mhm.
principal or something?
He's an
Yeah.
HR employee at a school district.
Yeah, man. And that's awesome. I've always said, eh, you know, people are going to like you, not like you. As a coach, your job is to make sure that that person in front of you is successful in whatever they want to do. I had no hand in Mark's success. I'm just happy that he's successful, he's healthy, and he's happy.
That's all you can ask for at the end of the day.
That's it, buddy.
So you were in, I would say, two corny WCW factions, the Dungeon of Doom and Misfits in Action. Was there any time where you did do this, but you kept your mouth shut, but you thought, oh, this is ridiculous, or this is so stupid, or this is really corny?
Yeah. So I thought the name the Dungeon of Doom was a little hokey. But if you look at all the men that were in it, they were there for a reason. Now, at that time, if you go back, we were the Dungeon of Doom fighting Hulk Hogan and the greatest American wrestlers in the world, Sting and Savage and Luger. So they needed big guys to beat up, and that was our job. Like we were the villains in the movie, and so they put us together. We were the Dungeon of Doom. It was a little hokey, but it was a great introduction into the company for me because I started working with the top names in the business right from the jump start. Now the Misfits um started out to me as a joke, but we did really well and we had a good chemistry and the people loved us because we were a little bit of comedy and we were relatable and we got to have fun with the crowd, and that's the entertainment part of it. So I'd like to think we took um two very hokey, goofy kind of things and got a lot of success out of them. And at the end of the day, if you're doing your job and you're successful, something else comes out of it. So with the Dungeon of Doom, I got to want to become Hugh Morris, the General Erection thing, then into Bill DeMott, United States champion, which got me hired by the WWF and then led to Tough Enough and all the great things that came from that. So through goofiness sometimes comes the silver lining. But I will say this, I had a lot of fun, man. It was goofy, but I had a lot of fun because sometimes you just can't take yourself that serious.
You made the best out of something ridiculous, and those people who can do that are the geniuses in the room.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you just try to figure out, okay, this is what they want. I can be negative and say I'm not want to do it or not put my heart into it, or dive all the way in and go, okay, let's make the best out of this. And in retrospect, it turned into a 32 plus year career, and I got some great memories. I made a lot of good friends, and until this day, when I see the fans or someone at a convention or a seminar or a foundation event, and they come up and we talk a little bit of wrestling, man, that's the greatest part of the whole thing.
It can show that trash equals success.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll wrap her up here. These are just for now we'll wrap her up here. These are just for some fun questions. So, Mr. DeMott, what is your paradise meal or favorite food, and why is it your favorite?
My favorite food is I make a pasta sauce. I call it gravy. Some people call it sauce. I make a spaghetti sauce. My favorite meal is pasta. And I take it back. My second favorite meal is pasta. My first favorite meal is cold pasta the next day.
Leftovers. You got to do something with them.
I
mean, why do we have Thanksgiving leftovers the next day?
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite movie or TV show, and why do you like it?
I go to bed every night listening to Everybody Loves Raymond because it's so relatable, coming from the old school families and how people interacted. And it just makes me chuckle because I understand that it's not real. And it just takes me away from all the hustle bustle of the day. So I love Everybody Loves Raymond. And anytime you put a John Wayne movie on, I'm going to watch it.
Quick note though, the old man and Everybody Loves Raymond, I think, is the best character.
Was he the best ever?
He reminds me of my grandfather.
See, you connect with it, right? Because it's somebody you know who acts like that. So you go, I'm watching this. Yeah.
There you go. What's your favorite vacation I've ever taken? Why did you enjoy that vacation very much?
We used to travel. I'm blessed to have the same friends that I've had from high school and growing up. So at 60 years old, we got together every year, no matter what, and we went to the Outer Banks. So my favorite vacation time was always getting together, taking my family, getting together with the other families, and spending 10 days in the Outer Banks in this humongous house and just doing nothing but laughing, talking, and relaxing.
That's sometimes the best vacations is the ones
Yes,
where you
sir.
don't go do anything at all.
I do nothing but just sit and relax, and I love a cup of coffee by the water.
That's a good answer, right, too. I would say a lot of people like the view from their condo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So my final question is, are there any good memories you want to tell our listeners about? If you do, why do you remember that memory the most? So before you answer, just answer the question with something sentimental. It makes you feel good inside. If you got the role, it could be a cruel place. And a funny memory that makes you fall on the floor laughing. Could be with wrestling, could be with your family, could be with the foundation you run. Your call, you want to answer it, bub.
Okay, so a funny one. There was a time in wrestling, and I only drove with a certain couple of people. One of my best buddies and someone I love to travel with was Chavo Guerrero. So Chavo Guerrero and Lacey, my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, we were dating. We were driving from Tupelo to Memphis, Tennessee. Well, there's a part of that roadway where the speed limit goes down, but we didn't see that and we stayed at the same speed limit. So we got pulled over, and the guy saw this big guy driving, Chavo in the driver's seat, who is a ripped monster. My wife's in the back, and they asked for the driver's license. So I'm from Florida, Chavo's from California. My wife at the time was from Iowa. So the guy says, "Where are you going?" We said, "We're going to the airport." "Well, who do you work for?" "We work for Vince McMahon." He goes, "Get out of the car," because he thought I was being a wise guy. Long story short, they bring a bunch of other police cars because when we got out, they saw the size of us, and they brought a drug sniffing dog to the car. And right before they let the dog loose, Chavo said to the officer, "If your dog eats my donuts, I'm going to be mad as hell." And I started laughing. The other cops started laughing, and they forgot about the whole thing and they let us go. So that's a funny story, a little bit of wrestling. Um, Probably something sentimental to me that has stayed with me. When my first daughter was born, Casey, I had 2 more months before her due date, and I was going back to Japan. Well, as soon as I landed in Japan, she was born 2 months early, and I missed her being born. So she was a preemie, and she was born at just over 3 pounds. So I finally got a flight a week later, finally got a flight back to Japan. Now, think back, this is 1993. So it wasn't like flights every day and all these other things. So I finally got home, and Casey spent a month in the hospital in an incubator. And I sat there every day, this big 350-pound man with a mohawk in the hospital with this little bitty 3 pound baby. And it's just something I'll never forget. And it just stays with me. When every day I look at her, I remember that little baby. And it's just something I hold dear to my heart, and just so thankful that everything turned out the way it did.
Okay, I have to ask. Does Chavo Guerrero have a similar personality to Eddie Guerrero? Or are they
They,
like polar opposite people?
they're the same guy. Every Guerrero is the same guy. The whole family's the same.
Wow. Because from what I've heard, Eddie was just a nice guy out of the ring.
All the brothers are such sweethearts, but they all have such a short fuse. Like if the slightest thing turns them into, they go from
0 to 1,000.
whatever. Yeah, zero to 1,000 so fast. They're all the same. All the brothers. I know them all. I love them all. I love that family, and they're the sweetest people in the world and the last people in the world you ever want to make angry.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any more frog splash. So I'll just shut up.
That's it.
Well, Mr. DeMott, thank you for your time. Is there any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for when we first connected, and thank you for everything you're doing, because I know you're out there traveling and speaking to the masses and sharing your story. I just want to let you know you're an inspiration, brother. And without young men like you, and without I love the relationship with your parents, and how you guys work together and make this all work. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to connect off screen, but then thank you for allowing me to share a little bit on screen too. And you guys have my heart, and we're partners, and whatever you need, I'm there for you.
Right. Partners in crime. He's Batman. I'm Robin.
No, I'll be Robin, you be Batman.
Oh, darn. Fine. Okay, fine. It is what it is. Sure.
That a boy.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mr. DeMott. You have a great day, buddy.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you. I'll talk to you soon.